Friends and family, welcome to another uncomfortable conversation with a married woman. So this video is about fighting fair in your marriage. In any marriage, I don't care how fantastic it is, fairy tale or not, you will have some fights. And when I'm talking about fights, I'm not talking about physical altercations. Don't do it. Okay? I'm talking about arguments and disagreements. As women, we have been told that we don't forget anything. We got brains like elephants, where our memories are impeccable when it comes to especially negative things. And we hoard it and we store it and we never forget. Okay? Well, let me tell you something. You may not forget it, but you don't have to spew it out every chance you get. How about that? I don't know if it's something in the air or in the water. Lately, I am finding that men are more effeminate than I remember. They're a little more emotional. They are now the ones to call out stuff from way back when. So listen, this is for the men and the women, okay? With that being said, even from the man's perspective, the same applies. One of the things that I've noticed when we're having arguments is I feel the need to remind my husband of certain things that he may say. You never do this. You always do that. Right? And I'm like, well, the first thing I'm going to do when you tell me I never is remind you of when I did do it. And the first thing I'm going to remind you of when you say you always, I'll remind you of one time that I didn't do it, right? So don't use those absolute words. No, never, no, always. Keep that out of your vocabulary. All the way out. Throw it out. Gone. Toss it out. Okay? That's number one. Number two. Don't go back 25 years and pull on something that happened then to remind your spouse of a situation happening today. Let it go. Release it. Whatever happened today or in the moment that you're discussing, keep it in that moment. If it's something pleasant, great. Remember when we did this and it was fun, blah, blah, great. But when you're arguing, that is never a good thing. Don't bring it up. Because the minute you do, they are also going to go way back into some stone age and pull out something that you did. Keep this argument present, okay? It may be that you're right. It's a pattern of behavior, right? And you want to count all the instances. But that doesn't take the argument anywhere. Don't add more things that you disagree on. Focus on the one. Try to resolve that. They say that, don't go to bed, angry and whatnot. I think that's BS. Because sometimes you cannot resolve the thing in the day. And you're pissed off. Yes. But don't let it keep you awake. It's about coming to a place where we both have an understanding of how we're going to move forward. I don't have to be right. And you don't have to be wrong. But we have to come to a place where we meet in the middle and we have an understanding from now on or from this moment on or in the future, this is how we're going to handle this so that things get better. It's not about calling out, what somebody did wrong and reminding them of something from 25 years ago. You will get nowhere with that. Okay. So that's one thing. The fourth thing is you want to make sure that your voice stays low. No yelling. The minute I'm having an argument with you and you start yelling, you lose me. I'm out. Because I will not tolerate that level of disrespect. Fifth, no insults. No insults. Don't start calling me names. Don't do that. Again, you will lose me. Don't do that to your spouse. The next thing is remember that it's okay to agree to disagree. You may not come to the same consensus where that person says, yeah, you're right, or you say that person was right. But you're two different people, two different DNAs, raised in two different families, maybe even from two different countries. So remember, you will be different. And it's okay. It is the difference that was exciting to you in the first place for y'all to get together and hook up. So now that the difference is causing some strife, try and remember what attracted you to that person in the first place, right? It could have been that very difference in opinion that was attractive to you before, and now you can't stand it. You don't get into an argument to bring somebody else down. You're trying to make a point. Your spouse may not receive it or agree with it or like it. The important thing is that you make sure they have heard your side, and you make sure that you have heard their side. So you leave the dialogue open. You're not necessarily going to be able to resolve the situation, but the dialogue has to remain open. Don't get to the point where you're not talking to each other. That is one of the worst things you can do. And some people are so petty that in the time period that you were not talking to each other, some serious things may happen. It may even be something that is, very dear to your heart. And God forbid, somebody you absolutely love, care for, maybe haven't talked to in a few months, passes away. Your spouse knows it. They're not telling you why, because you ain't talking. The funeral happens, gone, everything, wake keeping, whatever it is, the memorial, everything done, gone. You haven't been talking in a month or two, so you don't know. And there are some spouses that are that vindictive. Vindictive. They will watch that happen and not say one word to you. Why? Because y'all ain't talking. Marriage is not easy. I've said it many, 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 many times. The beginning, you're in love, so you're a little blind. But when the reality hits and the day-to-day stuff starts to happen, it's a rocky road. It's a rocky road. You have the power to make it peaceful. Not that you become stupid for somebody to walk all over you. No, 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 no. But when these arguments start to happen, remember, for me, my aim is to keep my peace. Nobody is going to take my peace away from me. No one. Peace is so important to me. It's like the bane of my existence. Peace. I need peace in my life. Sometimes you may seem stupid because there are certain things that come in your mind that you want to say, but you choose not to say it because if you say it, you will lose your peace, and you don't want to lose your peace. I do that. And usually it's things that I'm saying because I'm feeling emotional about it. It's not really anything that will resolve the argument. I am only trying to say it probably to offend my spouse, to make them shut up. You know what I mean? Not worth it. Not worth losing your peace over. So try to fight fair. For me, you can tell me you're not talking to me, but I'll talk to you. You don't even have to respond. In fact, do me a favor and don't respond. Shut your ugly face. Don't respond. But I'll talk to you. I'll let you know the things that I think you need to know. If somebody has to go pick up the kids, I can't pick the kids up. You got to pick up the kids. Or if you are going to go pick up the kids and the kids say they have a ride, I'm not going to be so mean or wicked or cruel where I won't tell you when I see you getting ready to go pick up the kids to say, oh, the kids have a ride, so don't worry about it. I'm not going to be one of those that will not tell you that. Because guess what? Life is fleeting. My imagination is beyond vivid. Sometimes it's terrible. Because I imagine a situation where, so I know that somebody's going to bring the kids home from school. I didn't tell you, so you drove there, you got into a car accident and you died. What then? Was that vindictiveness worth it? For this to sit in here and in here for the rest of my life? No, you're not worth it. You're not worth my peace. So in my mind, yes, I love you, my spouse. We're in this ride or die till death do us part. But you will not rob me of my peace. So when an argument happens, as it will, my key thing is not necessarily to prove to you that I'm right, but is to keep my peace. I will say what I need to say, and I'll listen to what you have to say. But there's a finite amount of time. I'm not arguing forever. Why? Because it's time for peace. You know what I mean? I'm giving you 5, maybe 7 minutes. You need to make your point. And I need to make my point, and it's done. It's done. Now, if a decision has to be made where an action has to be taken, that's a little bit different. Then you have to figure out how you can take the appropriate action even in the disagreement and still keep your peace. You know what I mean? So I am going to encourage you to start to do some research, how to argue fairly, how to disagree fairly, how to argue or disagree effectively, where your point is made and you also hear your partner's point. The last thing I'm going to say, don't be too proud to say, I was wrong, you were right. It goes a long way to heal a relationship. Whoever is able to do that is a more mature person in their relationship. There are people that will never say they're wrong, ever. Neither will they say they're sorry. Okay. At that point, you walk away because you know you're going to be sitting there waiting for years if you're waiting for an apology. I don't need an apology to know that I'm right. And I don't need an apology to feel good about the fact that I'm right. I am that kind of person. I don't need anyone to validate me. I don't need anyone to validate that I am intelligent, that I'm amazing, that I am beautiful, that I'm right. I don't need it. So if you're one of those people that needs that assertiveness from somebody else, or it's not, is it assertiveness? I forget what the word is. Assurance from somebody else. That's a problem. You need to go try and take some therapy. Because in and of yourself, you should be satisfied when you know that you're the one who's right. And if you know that you're the one who's wrong, apologies should not be a problem at all. Because for me, it's not necessarily that I'm apologizing that I was wrong, but most importantly, that I offended the person that I loved or I hurt them. That's important to me because I don't walk around trying to figure out how to hurt somebody, emotionally or physically. It's not me. But in an argument, inevitably, somebody in here, if not both of you, somebody in here is going to feel offended, is going to feel hurt or downcast or downtrodden or beaten up. It's not healthy to walk around in a relationship like that. Release it. Cacao. Let it go. Let it go. Okay? So I'm telling you this, that when I say, fight fairly or argue fairly, I'm not saying it to make you feel subdued. I'm saying it to help you feel empowered to make sure that your relationship has peace. Don't lie in order to keep peace in your relationship, no. But there are ways that you can tell somebody to go to hell in a way that they'll happily go. That's the power of language, right? You don't want to say, go to hell. But there's a way that you can say it that they'll be very excited to go. So learn how you can use your language not to offend somebody, basically to make your point in a fair and respectful way. Have a timeout for the arguments. Don't argue forever. It's your time and your peace. And strengthen your heart. Don't be so easy to be offended. You know, for me, like, nobody in my life is that important that I allow them in the inner chambers of my heart. No. You may annoy me, but not offend me where my heart is so broken. No, I'm so sorry. No, you're not allowed in there. Only Jesus is in there. And that's it. That's Jesus' space. It's sacred. You ain't allowed in there. Sorry. So my earring fell out. You know what that means? It's time to go. It means I've talked too much. All right. So y'all have a fantastic day, blessed week, and make sure to come back for another video. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, remember, you have to be respectful to yourself and respectful to your spouse. You need to be kind to yourself and be kind to your spouse. I love you guys.